Okay, in this video, we're going to be discussing the Exam 2 assignment. So this is the exact same format as the Exam 1 assignment, which we did earlier in the semester. Again, same rules apply. You're allowed to work on this on your own without supervision. Of course, for that, what I would like you to do is agree to some terms. One is that you work on this completely on your own, that you do not copy and paste out of sources, that you provide me with your understanding of the topics that we discussed by basically developing original responses to these things. Of course, if you do feel it's necessary to cite some sources, you may do so. However, it's not a required part of this assignment. But again, please recognize that anytime you refer to any information, whether or not it's copying and pasting directly or just referring to, you should provide citations, okay? And again, you may copy this into a separate Word document and just answer them as long as it's clear, whether by number or because you've copied the questions themselves, which questions you're responding to. And then, of course, just submit it to the Dropbox by the due date. Okay, so let's run through the questions. Again, answer these all as completely as possible, and each question is worth 10 points. So the first thing I'd like you to discuss, and again, this is going to focus on the material we've covered in the course since the first exam. So the first question is, we should be mindful of the fact that the middle-class families of the 1950s were the recipients of some of the most generous government subsidies in U.S. history. Again, a direct quote from the Heiner text. Please give one example of these benefits and describe how this contributed to the popular construction that a, quote-unquote, golden age of the family once existed that now no longer does. Okay. Number two, again, a quote from the text. The United States ranks miserably in the world in terms of providing for the care of young children with working parents. So I'd like you to compare and contrast the United States with other countries in the world with regard to meeting the needs of children and families. Again, you may refer to several insets sections of the text. There's one in the chapter on families, which is called Cross-Cultural Perspectives Childcare, and another one called Cross-Cultural Perspectives Family-Friendly Procedures. Okay, so I'd just like you to compare and contrast the United States with other countries in terms of our societies or our culture's ability to provide for care of children and support parents. Question 3. Imagine that you're a high-level government, and it could be on a state or federal level, a high-level government official. You have a substantial sum of money that you are being given to address the problem of crime. So again, you could be a commissioner, some body placed in a position, but the idea is society wants you to use your budgeted materials to address crime in our society. What percentage, on a scale of 1 to 100, right, are you going to use to deal with street crime? And then what percentage, the remainder of the total, so you could say 50-50, you could say 60-40, you could say 30-70, whatever else it is, but the idea is it should add up to 100. What percentage are you going to use to deal with street crime, and what percentage to deal with corporate crime? Explain your rationale, citing, again, examples from the text or lectures. Would it matter to you whether or not you're an elected or appointed official? Again, elected officials clearly need to be elected back into their positions. An appointed official usually is kind of open-ended, like a job. You're being given this job and you don't have to rely on elections. And does that make a difference in your response? Okay, number 4. Specific issue we've discussed in the lectures, marijuana use, both for medicinal and entertainment purposes, has been legalized in some U.S. states. I should say not legalized, decriminalized. Again, it's still illegal on a federal level, right? Briefly summarize the social constructions of marijuana use, both pro and con. So what are the things that people say in society about using marijuana, both positive and negative? Defining the arguments used on each side. So what are some of the reasons for the positives? What are the reasons for the negatives? And then taking a critical constructionist approach, which obviously we've been discussing quite a bit in this class, examine these arguments and determine who benefits from, quote unquote, winning the marijuana debate. So, in other words, a critical constructionist will ask himself, what are these arguments and how potentially do these social constructions benefit the elite in our society? Okay. And then the last question, number 5. In the 1970s, the environmental movement was at its peak, enjoying a great deal of public support, as we discussed in the lectures. But then, in the mid to late 80s, the corporate world was ready for battle. Okay, so please choose one of the following responses by corporate interest to the environmental movement and discuss how it serves to advance what we've discussed in the lectures as corporate suasion. Okay, and those 4 things that you could choose from would be exploring scientific uncertainty, the role that public relations has played in this issue, SLAPS, SLAPPS, that's strategic lawsuits against public policy or public participation, and the role the media has played in the kind of quote unquote anti environmental or certainly counter to the environmental movement in our society. Okay, so those are the 5 questions. Clearly, as you can see, it'll help me gauge your comprehension of what we've talked about in the second half of the class. So if you have any questions, again, please feel free to get back to me, and I look forward to reading your responses. Thanks.